Uh, Today is the first class of Ignite. This is an amazing series of classes that is really foundational to learning the business of real estate. And this is we have 2-hour sessions, Tuesdays and Thursdays over Zoom. So it doesn't matter where you are, you can participate. The classes are interactive. You're going to have different instructors for different classes. Excuse me, the ability for you to participate and be active as opposed to just having this in your ear and hearing my voice and others drone and not being engaged in the material is the difference between it being an effective use of your time or not being an effective use of your time. So I really encourage you to participate, be engaged. I will ask you questions as we go through this material, as will the other instructors. So we have more and more people joining. For those of you who are just coming in the room now, we are just about to get started with this first class of the Ignite series. I'm very happy to see you all here, and I'm looking forward to this program with you. My name is Stephen Beard. I am the productivity coach in the Oakland office, which includes Castro Valley and Alameda. I see some of our agents on this call, which is great. And I am also work closely with your productivity coaches for those of you in other market centers, San Francisco, Palo Alto, San Mateo, Santa Monica, and maybe even Fremont. I don't know if there's anyone here from Fremont, our newest market center, to join our KW Advisors group. So I hope there are. And as I said at the beginning, for those of you who are coming in later, please, if possible, please turn on your cameras and be available to participate and make this so we can make this as productive and interactive as possible for everybody. So I was talking about Ignite. So Ignite is going to work out to be about a 5-week class. And it's Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 11 in the morning and 2 p.m. in the afternoon, with homework coming out of each and every session, which consists of you actually doing the business. For those of you who are fully licensed already, you can start doing this stuff today. And so there's a fair bit of work that's recommended to you that is not specifically needed to be done in a group class. So we'll be giving you more about that as we go along. The first half of this of the whole course is called Spark, and that's what we're in right now. And the whole goal of Spark is to get you guys an appointment as soon as possible. To start off your careers. We're going to give you the tools so that you can work on this every day. Building a database, practicing scripts, contacting prospective clients, and getting to know your market. And then we will switch to elementals, where you learn some specific things about, doing buyer presentations, doing listing consultations, and so on from there. So I am going to share my screen now, and we are going to talk about one of the most important things that some people slide over a little bit, but this is really important, and that has to do with this idea of what we call your big why. So the question here that really sort of drives us forward is, why did we want to become real estate agents in the first place? So I want you guys to take 30 seconds and think about what would be your ideal life. And if everything was perfect in your life, what are you doing for the people you care about? What nonprofits or charities are important to you? How would your existence make the lives of yourself and others around you better? The Keller Williams philosophy is that establishing your mindset and your goals right from the start is really, really important. When I work with new agents in our area, one of the first things we do is set goals so that we can have some sense of a plan. And the whole idea of the goals is they're going to help us to get closer to this perfect life and to understand what it is that makes us tick, because it isn't just about the money. And that's the first thing in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. I hope everybody has it. This book is the first book you should read in your real estate careers. And right at the very top, Gary Keller says, it's not about the money. And he's right. You need to have the most successful real estate agents out there have a something beyond that, something beyond money that motivates them to be successful. So one of the things that is important about big whys or establishing goals is that the first thing that happens is the little voice in our head goes off and tells us we can't do it. It's not achievable. It's too overly ambitious. Someone else is going to prevent us from doing it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we call those limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs. And these are things that hold you back from achieving the things that are important to you in your life. So as you go through this Ignite, I want you to listen for that voice in your head, not just in this class this morning, but in this afternoon's classes and the classes to come. And think about when you find yourself thinking like, oh, I don't have time to do 3 hours a day of lead gen. I don't have time for that. Or there's no way someone's going to hire me. I'm brand new. How do I compete? I'm not going to be able to be competitive with other agents who are more experienced. So those are things that are going to hold you back. And we are going to teach you how to, listen, hear that voice in your head, and then just sort of treat it like a little child and pat its forehead and say, thank you for sharing. Now I'm going to go do what I need to do to be successful. This is a lifelong skill development thing, and we all are working on it. Even experienced agents work on that. But it's really fundamental. We need to overcome. Sometimes the biggest thing holding us back from success is ourselves, right? Has anyone ever heard of Henry Ford? Anyone ever hear of the name Henry Ford? Henry Ford was oh, great, Tony, thanks. Henry Ford was a famous American industrialist. Have anyone here heard of Ford cars? Henry Ford started that company back at the turn of the early 1900s. Very famous American industrialist. And he said, if you think you can do a thing or you think you can't do a thing, you're right. I'm going to say that again. If you think you can do a thing or you think you can't do a thing, you're right. Because what that's telling us, what Henry Ford understood when he talked about that, is that mindset is a factor in your ability to succeed. It doesn't matter what's going on in the real estate market. Strong market for sellers, strong market for buyers. It doesn't matter what's going on in the economy. What's important is how you approach all the things you do in your life. So we want to look for ways that you are getting in your own way as you go through Ignite and go through your first few months in real estate, and think about your goals or your big why. So before we get into it too much further, I want somebody to share their big why. Could someone volunteer and tell us why they got into real estate and what drives them to be successful? Oh, Shalimar, please unmute. Go ahead and share.
Good morning, everybody. I got into real estate because I have been doing previously before that hospitality, and for a very long time. And I felt that the skills that I had learned in my hospitality experience could translate really well, which is really at the end of the day, helping people. And that's one of the main reasons why I got into real estate. I wanted to help people find that first home, that first condo, that first piece of property, so then they could start sort of building wealth for themselves.
Thank you, Shalimar. What office are you with?
Santa Monica.
Well, welcome to this. I'm glad you're here. And thank you for sharing that. Many of us got into real estate because we had what we call a servant's heart. We wanted to help others. That's certainly why I got into real estate. I had no grand illusions of being a multi-billionaire, although I would still love to have that happen, but it wasn't my main driving thing. It was helping other people, making a difference in other people's lives. So thank you so much for sharing that. All right, so we're going to get right into it and talk about what successful real estate agents do every day. Can everybody see? Can everybody see? Just nod or thumbs up. Can you see this? Okay, everyone can see the screen. Awesome. All right. So what do successful real estate agents do every day? If you look at this every morning, you will have the right intentionality and mindset to succeed in real estate. There's two aspects of this: growing your business and running your business. You're going to grow your business by doing lead generation or prospecting. You are going to be out there trying to create relationships with buyers and sellers. This number one, us productivity coaches harp on this all the time. This is the most important thing you do. This is your 20% work. If any of you have ever read the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller, let me show you. This is a great book. It's a very easy read. I strongly recommend it. The One Thing. If you guys, you can get it, of course, and just listen to it on Audible. But that book talks about what is the one thing you could do such that by doing that, everything else would be easier or unnecessary. In real estate, it's lead gen. Another thing you're going to do to grow your business is make presentations to sellers. You want to get in front of sellers and convince them that you are the best person for the job of selling their home. We are going to teach you how to do those presentations. We're going to teach you the scripts and dialogues you need to say that will help them to make good decisions. And help them to make the right decisions about their plans for their home. You're going to make buyer presentations and get listings with buyers, or get buyer representation agreements, perhaps more accurately. What does it mean to make a buyer presentation? So it's a conversation with the buyer is, hey, you don't want to work with any other realtors now. You just want to work with me. I'm the best one to help you to buy a home. So let's work together. That's the guts of it at a very high level. But you're going to have a question, a conversation with them about, what are their needs? What are their wants? What does it mean to work with an agent? What does the home buying process look like? How are you going to bring value to their experience? Remember that sellers pay the commission for both the buyer and seller agent. So when you make buyer presentations, you are offering, in most cases, free consulting services. And that is as professional a business relationship as is the listing relationship where you represent the seller. And growing your business involves previewing real estate. I don't know how long any of you have been in the business or how much you've been out there doing things, but if you're not going out and looking at houses, 10 houses a week, that's not good. You should be going out and looking at 10 homes a week in person, on open houses, or using your Supra key to get into the houses. Go look at lots of houses, especially if you're new to your area or new to this business and don't know what the housing inventory looks like in your area. The more houses you look at, the smarter you're going to sound when you're hosting that open house, or when you're talking to someone on the phone or on Zoom or in person, and they're asking you questions about houses. If you just saw a house, you can talk about that. And you want to see lots of these houses. All right, so that's growing your business. The other aspect is running your business. So what do we mean by running your business? Well, these are the things you do to keep things going after you've gotten your clients. You're always going to be working to get new clients. Always, always, always. That's the life of your business. It's the 20% work, lead generation. But you're also going to be running a business. You're going to be marketing the seller listings that you obtain so that people will know them and want to buy them. You're going to be showing homes to buyers. You're going to be negotiating contracts. You're going to be working on your own or with a transaction coordinator to manage transactions and make sure all that they get closed. And that's one of the underlooked skills. It isn't over just because you got the client into contract. You need to get it closed too. You're going to be working with vendors, relationships with lenders, relationships with home inspectors, relationships with other service providers, title companies, escrow companies, etc. You're going to be setting goals. Business planning is a really important part of running your business. Many new agents don't spend as much time on this as they should. Compliance and risk management. You're going to be learning about the things you need to do to protect yourself from doing something wrong, and how to write offers appropriately, how to negotiate appropriately, how to handle complaints and concerns appropriately. We have at KW Advisors, we have in-house a company called BRLG. If you haven't heard about BRLG, they are an amazing legal firm that provides us with support if we have a legal problem. They did a little presentation at the company-wide meeting yesterday afternoon, and they are great. They're very easy to reach, and they will answer your questions if something happens and you don't know what to do around the, how do I do it legally, right? How do I do it right? You're going to take classes. Keller Williams is all about lifelong learning, and attending classes and getting coaching is built into our blood. So after you graduate from your productivity coaching programs and your mentorship programs, that doesn't mean you're never going to take another class again or get any further coaching. We at Keller Williams, at KW Advisors, we have training and coaching at every level after you finish your initial training. It's not like it stops. And then finally, and not least important, in fact, I would argue this is much more important, is managing your money. How do you manage your money so that you don't spend it all, so you have enough money to pay your taxes, that you're not overspending versus the money you're bringing in? So I'm going to take the slide away for just a second, and I want to ask the group, what do you guys think is the secret to being a successful real estate agent? Anybody? What's the secret?
I'm gonna try to guess, Stephen.
Great.
I feel the secret is consistency and follow-up.
That is a great answer. And the general joke about this, thank you, Kimberly, is that, and that's very true. There is certainly, I like to say, you want to be persistently consistent or consistently persistent, either way. Kimberly, you're absolutely right. It's all about the follow-up. But there really is no secret. We know what successful agents do. How do we know? Because Gary Keller wrote this book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. And when you read it, well, all they did is interview hundreds and hundreds of real estate agents who were successful and said, what are you doing? And then they put together the key similarities between them. And that's how they learned. And that's how we got that list that I just shared you. So if you were to print out this list, if you just printed out this list, if all you did was print it out and put it on where your workplace is, at home or at your office, and you had it there every day, that would be your reminder of what you need to do. And I would put a big circle around number 1, because that is the first and most important priority. All right. So let's talk a little bit about how the rest of our morning is going to go. We are going to talk about Spark very briefly and how it's what this first series of classes is about. Then we're going to talk about Sphere and what Sphere is. We're going to talk about tools, and we're going to talk about foundational success elements that you're going to learn. And we're going to review over and over and over again. And by then it'll be 11 o'clock. Believe it or not, we'll do rehaps and ahas, and we'll do daily success habits. Does that sound okay with everybody? Before I go into it, does anybody have any questions so far? Good. All right, let's keep going. So, Ignite. So Gary Keller is the co-founder of Keller Williams Realty, and he said, nothing else about your business will have a big an impact on it as the number of leads you have, which takes us back to this idea of lead generation. The more leads you have, the more likely you're going to get appointments, and appointments will lead to clients, and clients will lead to closings. So you want lots and lots of leads. You want lots and lots of people who want to buy or sell real estate that you are able to get in front of them, whether it be by going to hosting an open house or knocking on doors or going to a networking event or talking to them via Facebook or Instagram or on the phone or over at family gatherings. So Ignite consists of two sections. We have the Spark. Hold on a second, guys. I just want to change some. Thank you. Okay. So we have Spark and Elemental. So Spark is what you're going to be in for the first 2 weeks, then Elementals. And all throughout it, we want you to focus on these daily success habits, which I'm going to get into at the end of the class. What are the daily success habits? I want you guys to consider every weekday allowing at least an hour, maybe 2 hours for work on daily success habits. At the beginning, that's just going to be setting up systems and routines for yourself to do those things. But shortly, hopefully within a couple of weeks, you'll be doing these daily success habits 2 hours a day to supplement this training class, not this training class itself. Not Ignite. Ignite is teaching you how to develop these success habits. They have to happen on your own time after the class. So let's talk about sphere marketing. Let's talk about sphere marketing. According to the National Real Estate, National Association of Realtors, 66% of all sellers, that's 2 out of every 3 seller, and 40% of all buyers, that's 1/3, more than a third, 4/10, 2/5, found their agent through a friend or a family member. So here's what we're going to do. And I want everyone to do this if you possibly can. If you're not, if you possibly can do this, take out your cell phone right now. Take out your cell phone right now. And what I want you to do is I want you to, let me see, take out your cell phone right now. And then what I want you to do is go to the contacts section on your cell phone. So if you have an Apple like me, an iPhone, you can go into contacts. So here I am in my contacts list, right? And I can go all the way down to the bottom. And I can see at the very bottom, I think it is. I think it's at the bottom. Oh my goodness. Yes. All right. At the bottom of your iPhone, it'll tell you how many contacts you have. So I'd like people to start putting in the chat. That's on an iPhone. If you have an Android, I think it's at the top right corner. I want you to go on your phone. I want you to put in the chat how many names you have on your phone. Let's see. I want at least 5. Oh, that's good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. These are great. Excellent. 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 So the assumption here is if you take that number. So let's just take one person example. Danielle, that's really funny. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right. So let's suppose that you take whatever number you got, right? And you multiply it by 6% or 0.06. So let's take Kimberly. Kimberly has 1,091. If we multiply that by 0.06, that leaves her 65. I did the math for her. It leaves her 65 people. Those 65 people, based on what we know about the way the world works, are going to do a real estate activity in the next year. Why shouldn't Kimberly be their agent? That's 65 deals. How many of us wouldn't be thrilled to do 65 deals a year? I know I would. I'm not doing that many on my team, right? That'd be amazing, right? So what we're trying to get at here is that your sphere of influence are people that you already have met or that you know. If someone sees you on the street and doesn't look away or look down at their shoes, but smiles at you because they recognize you, that's your sphere of influence. And if they know you well enough, they're going to say, oh my God, Miriam. I'm just pointing at you, Miriam. I'm looking at you because you're a face on the screen. Miriam, it's so nice to see you. How are you? How is your family? How are your spouse, children, whatever? what's going on with you, right? So there is really something really important about these people that already know you. They are inclined to trust you because they know you. How many of us haven't chosen to work with someone to get some services or to buy a product because it was recommended by a friend or the friend sells it? How many of us haven't had that happen? You know, you're in high school, you're in college, and you go to there's a fair and you find a buddy of yours trying to promote some political cause at a table or a booth, or there's a Facebook campaign and a friend of yours is involved in a GoFundMe, whatever it is, you're going to be more inclined to support that, whatever it is, if you know them. You're more inclined to think it's legit. If you get a spammy text message from some stranger, you're not going to trust it at all. You're going to think, who the heck is this person who wants my money? Right? So sphere of influence is super, super important. And the contacts in your phone are a good place to start looking for all the people in your sphere. There's a class coming up in Ignite where you're going to be asked to make a list of everybody in your sphere. Get ahead of it. Make the list before the class. If you think about it, you probably all know at least 100 people, either in the Bay Area or not in the Bay Area, that you've met in your life who would recognize you, who would be part of your sphere of influence. For example, your dentist, your hairstylist, your manicurist, if all your family and all of their extended family, cousins and uncles and aunts and nephews and nieces, your friends, your colleagues in your job that you're either still at or just left, people you know from school. Start adding up all those people. Even if you lost touch with them, you're going to easily have over 100. Since we know that 2/3 of sellers and 41% of buyers found their agent through a friend or a family member, this is what we call in sales low-hanging fruit. So when we talk about lead gen, we talk about the best use of your time, and the best thing you should be doing is lead gen. Within that, the best use of that time is going after people you already know, not doing calling expireds, not calling FSBOs or for sale by owner listings, not farming a neighborhood, not even doing open houses. Those things are important. They're a great way to build your career. But the number one thing you want to do is go after your sphere. So you guys all have a participants guide, or you should have one. It was sent to you when you registered for this class. It's called the participants guide. I'm not going to bring it up on the screen here, but for those of you who have it, I want you to go to page 7. Please go to page 7. I'll give you a minute to bring it up on another screen or the printout, whatever. Go to page 7. And I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you 3 questions, and then I want someone to share the answer with me. The first question is, and you can pick which question you want to answer. And I'd very much like to hear from somebody who hasn't spoken yet. So question number 1 is, who do you know? When you think about all the people you know, who do you know that's going through a life event that might lead to a move? Having to buy, sell, or rent somewhere else. Second question, who do you know that doesn't know that you're a real estate agent yet? Of all the people, not necessarily in your phone, but who know you, who would recognize you on the street. And then finally, who in all of the people you know have you not spoken to in the last 2 weeks? Maybe you're feeling a little guilty if it's a family member. Oh my God, I haven't called Aunt Shirley, and oh my God, oh my God. So if you don't have the participants guide, if you go back to your registration and your email with the link for today's class, the guide will be right there as a link in the email you got for registering for this class. But it's also on Ignite Toolkit, in the Ignite section of KW Connect. So if you contact your agent services department, they'll help you with that. All right, so the question is on the table, who do you know that's going through a life event that might lead to a move? Does anybody know anyone who's going through a life event? Danielle, you've raised your hand. Do you have somebody?
I do. I have a friend, she's a registered nurse right now. She's been a nurse for 2 years, and so now she's in a position to consider homeownership. But the irony is that her cousin also does real estate, and they have a really close rapport. So I feel like she would probably use him over me. Plus, she and I never had a relationship or met until February of this year.
So there's a question of how do you approach that situation, which is beyond the scope today, Danielle, but there are scripts you can use to try to win her favor and get her to hire you instead of the cousin. It's worth talking about further. But the bottom line is, you know somebody. Anyone else here know somebody who has going through something in their life that might require them to change their housing?
I do.
Anybody? Oh, good. Sheba, who do you know?
It's a friend of mine. A couple of years ago, they moved to LA and they're
Yeah.
moving back here. So I recently got my license three weeks ago. And,
Oh, congratulations.
so thank you very much. They have been working with another agent, but she's a good friend of mine. So I did,
Oh,
yeah, did let her know that I got my license, and whenever if it doesn't work out, they can always work with me in future.
right. Absolutely. There's all kinds of things to think about when someone already has an agent. They're more or less off limits.
Yeah.
Unless they're unhappy with that person, especially in a buyer role. It's a little, sometimes they don't have an agreement with that person, and it's just a verbal arrangement. And your mentor and your productivity coach can give you insight, Sheba, about how to have a conversation with her if they're upset with their agent, if they want to switch to you. And you want to be careful about that so that another agent doesn't think you're stealing their client, right? Anyway, beyond the scope today, so we've already had 2 people who have people they know who are making a change. And how many people do you guys think that are in your sphere are making a change in their life and you don't even know? And how many people in your sphere don't already know that you're a real estate agent, that you're making this transition to a new career? One of the things that they have in the Ignite Toolkit, which was also in that email when you registered, the link to the Ignite Toolkit. I'm actually going to put a link to the Ignite Toolkit right now. Right now, I'm going to do it. A link to the toolkit in your into chat. This toolkit has all kinds of great resources, including something called the Sparks script book and the Ignite script book. In the Sparks script book, which you can download from this toolkit, is in the Ignite toolkit that you can, I just put the link in chat, that in the Sparks script book is a dialogue you can practice to tell people that you're a new agent, So I'd like everyone who has the guide to go to page 8 in the guide. I'm going to bring this up on the screen, not page 8, but something else about it. Let me go to this, and let's go to this. Oops, that's not what I wanted. All right, let's start this again. Can everybody see my screen? All right, so we live lives, and those lives have ups and downs in them, but they also have a pattern around housing. And the studies show that people move every 8 to 10 years on average, right? This is on information about this is on page 8 of your book. So people are likely to move every 8 to 10 years. That's what this shows. Now, if the average person moves every 8 to 10 years, what part of this graph is the likelihood of them wanting to move again at its lowest? Where, if I were to point my mouse, I don't know if you guys can, let me do it this way. 1 sec. Where's my fancy thing here? I'm trying to get really, oh, here we go. Here we go. All right, can everyone see the red dot? Can you all see the red dot? Okay, where should I put the red dot? When is the likelihood of moving at its least?
The bottom.
The bottom? The likelihood of moving. So on the left-hand side, the likelihood of moving goes up, you're right, and then across as time goes down. So you're saying it's here. Does everyone agree?
Yes.
Anyone disagree? The likelihood of me moving is actually here, right after they move. It's like when it's least. The likelihood of them moving being at its lowest is actually right after they move. Because right after they move, they're not likely to move again. And then it goes down and then down here, it starts going back up again. So as time goes by, the likelihood of a move goes up and up and up and up to here. And then they move again. So it's usually right after they move that they're least likely to move again. And as more time goes by, they're more likely to move. So when you take these people that you know in your sphere, you want to sort of maybe think about plotting them against the likelihood of them moving. If you were to go through all the names in your phone of people you actually know and plot where they're at in their lives based on your knowledge of them, you'd find that they're all over the place on this graph at various points in their cycle. So the idea is, when do you contact them and what do you contact them about? So if you guys start calling your people in your family and friends and people you know, you probably wouldn't be want to be sort of coming across. Let me ask you this way. How would you guys feel if your friends only called you when they wanted something from you? You wouldn't like it, right? Nobody likes it. So you wouldn't feel like they cared at all about you if they only called you when they needed something. Okay, somebody needs to mute who is talking in the background. I'd appreciate it if you could. So you don't want that to happen, right? You want you guys, all of us, trust people when we think they care more about me than about my money, your money. So that's one of the reasons why sphere of influence marketing works, because if somebody trusts you, there's an implicit understanding that they're thinking about more in their relationship with you than strictly about how much of their money that you want. The idea is that you want to establish trust relationships in real estate so that people don't think you're just after their money, right? So how do you have conversations with people about real estate without coming across as salesy? I mean, that's really what I'm getting at. I'm sure none of you want to come across as salesy when you talk to people, such that they think they just want to sell me a house. They don't care about me. And that is something we're going to learn about when we practice scripts and dialogues. How do you have that conversation? What you want to do is create a dialogue with people you know, and not just people you know, anyone you want to do business with, such that you want to stay top of mind with them as their real estate realtor of choice. So wherever they're at on that graph, they would still call you. I sold a home this year in the spring to a lady who I sold her home in Oakland, and she bought it in 2009. And I maybe talked to her twice on the phone in the last 11 or 12 years. Yet when she was ready to sell, I was the only call she made. When I got to her house for the listing appointment, on her fridge were all every Christmas I send out fridge magnet calendars. You know, the little tear off ones that go on your metallically, they attach with a magnet to your fridge. So she had every year since 2009 on her fridge of these magnets I sent her. So even though I didn't have a lot of telephone conversations with her over the years, I kept in touch. And when she was ready to sell, she called me, right? So how do you stay in mind? So that when they're ready to buy, you're their first call. If you don't have any relationship with them for 8 years, after 8 to 10 years after they buy the home, you help them to buy the home, why would they call you? They've completely forgotten who you are. So staying in touch after the sale is arguably as important as the commission check you got. And we teach in this book, we teach something called the 33 touch plan, or you might have heard it called the 36 touch plan, which is where you have an ongoing connection, whether it's text, email, voice, Zoom, in person, with or direct mail, with people who already know you, so that you're staying top of mind. And you're doing this in a way that brings them value. I have a student in, I don't think he's on this call, but I have a student in my program who is giving out flower seeds and plant seeds as part of his strategy. So he is giving something very tangible of value to the people he knows, such that they will think of him when they are thinking about real estate. Can anyone think of another item of value that you could offer people that would make them consider you not only a real estate agent, but not someone who's just trying to sell them something? Anyone have any ideas? Murray, you're not allowed to play. Murray is a productivity coach in Santa Monica, and he's put in the chat events. Thank you, Murray. But I actually want to hear from the students. What could you guys do? So Murray has had a good idea, having events, putting on events for your clients. But suppose you're phoning somebody, or you're texting them better, or sending them an email. What could you include in that communication that would bring them value? Anybody?
Some economic information.
Yes, thank you, Kenneth. Did everyone hear him? Economic information. What is the number one thing people are worried about right now? They're worried about inflation. They're worried about how gas prices went up so much, and are they going to go back up again? How are they going to afford groceries? They keep going up, 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 up. You know, what if you were to tell them, give them information that would give them information about the economy? Angel, that's a great idea. How to take care of their home. Let's suppose they're new homeowners, or even if they're not. And I would, in fact, Angel, add that you could be seasonal about it. Give them information for preparing their home for the rainy season, giving them information about preparing them home for spring and summer. Those are great ideas. The point is that you want to be thinking about something you would not feel is spammy or salesy if you got it as a text from someone you knew, or if you got it as an email, or if they mentioned it on the phone. So I want you to start thinking about it that way. You want to be creating an action plan, and your productivity coaches and mentors will help you create the action plan. And you want to be having a consistent and persistent communication methodology with each of the people in your sphere. And one of the ways we do this is something called the Ford method. So this is one model among many for dialogue with your sphere of influence. If you go to the Ignite Toolkit script book for the Spark program, you will see this in there. And the Ford method is basically phone somebody, you ask about their family, you ask about how work is going, you ask them about their holiday plans or recreation things or movies they've seen, and dreams. That's the last one. So this is a tool you can use to overcome hesitation. Some of you may be thinking, I know I only say this because I know it from experience. Some of you may be thinking that you're going to be bothering the people if you call them, or that they're going to feel like you're trying to sell them something. This forward method of talking with them is a way to avoid that and to stay in touch with your sphere. Now, that doesn't mean it should just be a social call. All of your calls should have an intentionality of reminding them gently or overtly that you're a real estate agent now, and you're there to help anybody they know with real estate stuff. But this is a good starting point. So because we're in a Zoom environment, we're not going to actually practice the script here, but you guys all should have script practice partners. So I don't know if you've got that set up yet, but find somebody else through your productivity coach or through your mentor that you can practice scripts with. Also, on the calendar, every weekday morning except for Fridays, there is a script practice class from 8:30 to 9. And practice your scripts. You should be practicing your scripts 3 times a day. So if you go into conversations and you're personal and you bring value to them, you will have a far better chance of establishing yourself as someone that they would want to do business with when the time comes, when they're ready to buy or sell real estate. It could be as simple as sending a text message of a really good article you read online, sending a link to an article about housing or about the economy or about home maintenance or about a cool event going on, and tying it back to you being a real estate agent. It could be as simple as that. Could be as simple as that. The point is to start pinging them 33 to 36 times a year, pinging them 3 times a month. Hey, I'm a real estate agent. Hey, I'm a real estate agent. Hey, I'm a real estate agent. So that in a few months, your family, friends, people you know, the sphere who's more inclined to trust you, are no longer considering you in the way they did before, but in this new way. And I want to remind you, when you're nervous about this, that if the conversation is personal, if you are bringing information and value to them and it's about them, they are not going to mind at all. They are going to, in fact, be quite happy to hear from you, and to know this about you and to learn what you're sharing with them. Okay, so before we move to the next part, I'd like somebody to share with me what your feeling is about this sphere marketing stuff and these scripts. What's on your mind about it? Yeah, go ahead, just unmute.
So just like you said, I had some trepidation about starting to make those phone calls and reaching out to my sphere because, like you said, I felt like I was going to be bothering people. People were going to know. But you were exactly right. Once I did my first one, it became so much easier. And these are all people that you know. They're all people that I have an actual relationship with. So it wasn't, even though I thought it was, people I hadn't talked to were pleasantly surprised to hear from me and were just like, oh my God, how have you been? And the conversation was so natural. And then sort of when it got around to what we're doing, it was very easy for me to be like, I've transitioned into real estate and this is what I'm doing now. And if you need something or if you know anybody, please. And it just and through that, I got, some people that I'm pretty sure looking to, actually make a transaction in the next 6 months. So do it. And it is much easier than you think and a lot more satisfying for you than you think as well.
Thank you, Shalimar, for that testimonial. That's awesome. And he's right. But the trick, as Kimberly pointed out before, is to do it consistently and to not be giving up because you make 10 calls or 10 connections and you don't get a good response. Yeah. Just go back at it the next day and do another 10 and then do another 10 and do another 10. Make phone calls, texting, emails, posts on social media, whatever it is you're going to do, door knocking, whatever it is, make it foundational to your real estate day. For those of you who are not full-time agents, find a half an hour. For those of you who are full-time agents, find at least 2 to 3 hours every day, time block it, and that is your time to do this outreach, and start with Sphere. As I said, we want you to do other things too. You know, you're going to learn how to do open houses. You're going to learn how to do door knocking and other tools of the trade for meeting people. But it's going to be far easier for you in most of your cases, and there are always exceptions, to make these connections with people who already know, And your PC and mentor will help you establish a broad plan for your lead generation activity. I meet with all the new agents in my office, and we do a meeting to develop a plan. So Gary Keller in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, if you haven't read it, in the introduction, to that book, he talks about setting goals and aiming high and being intentional. And so we teach that. We teach you not just how to set a goal, I want to sell 10 homes in my first year, but also how do you get there? What are you going to do? How are you going to reach out to your sphere? How are you going to reach out to your, how else are you going to meet new people and establish new relationships? Because real estate agent is a contact, being a real estate agent is a contact sport. I am sure you've heard that before. And that is, if you are a secret agent or you are a shy, introverted person, you're going to need to work a little bit harder than someone like Shalimar, who was able to get over, clearly is able to overcome introversion and any shyness to go and do those calls and go and do those connections, because you want to get in the way of opportunities to sell homes. I've been doing PC work, productivity coaching, since 2019. Those agents who were not afraid to talk to people had success. Those agents who were shy and introverted and didn't want to pick up the phone and didn't want to send out emails and didn't want to do texts and didn't want to knock on doors, were just hoping that someone would feed them leads that they could respond to. They have encountered the least success. Okay, so I think it's really important to think about it that way. So now, obviously, you need tools and support to do these things, which is this Ignite class is one element of it. What we're going to look at now are some other tools that are part of you succeeding. So we're now going to talk about tools. So Keller Williams technology is a very, very important tool in this process. There are a lot of these tools. So this graph here shows you some of them. What I want to focus on here is KW Command here in the center. KW Command and the KW app. And basically what I want you to think about is that Keller Williams has this cloud-based system like everybody nowadays. And there are tools in Keller Williams Command that are going to give you tremendous empowerment to run your business. So this is not a class on how to use Command by any means, but I am going to just take you guys in there to show you a couple of things very quickly. Just so you know that this is something you want to use. Now, some of you may be joining teams where you're going to use other contact management tools, but most of you, if you're a solo agent or you are new to the business, you're going to be using Keller Williams Command. So when you come into Keller Williams Command, you're going to see all your tasks for the day. Down the left-hand side are all the different things you can do in here. You can enter contacts. These are new people you meet. Their names, addresses, telephone numbers, email addresses. You can view your tasks that are due for a given day. This is my task list. And I can sort this by a task due today, task due yesterday, task due in the future. This is just a quick list of my tasks. then you can set up a really cool thing and in Command called Smart Plans. Oops. Smart Plans are really cool. Some people call them action plans. Some people call them drip campaigns, but what they are automated processes to help you do your 33 and 36 touches or any other program you want. So let's suppose Alex decides that he wants to set up a monthly follow-up call with someone he's nurturing to be a client, and he's trying to want to stay in touch with them. He doesn't want to forget to phone them. He can use this Smart Plan tool to set up a reminder for him to call them, text them, or email them. You can actually use Smart Plans. It's not coming up on my screen, but you can actually, there's this huge library in here of other people's plans. Their 36 touch plans, their 8x8 plans, their monthly nurture plans, their quarterly nurture plans, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's all kinds of things in here that automate it all for you. You don't have to remember. After you've reached out with 3 or 4 people, do you remember what you said to the first guy? So you can put notes in here, and then when you reach out to them 3 months later, you remember that their kid was graduating or their kid was starting in a new school, or more timely, and is doing new stuff. So Smart Plan allows you to remember. Keller Williams has a very active referral network where you can connect with agents all over the country. Referral business is an amazingly leveraged way for you to make money in this business. If you get referrals from someone out of state, you pay them usually 25%. Or if you send referrals, let's suppose Nancy has a friend who's moving to Maui. Well, why would she ever not offer to her friend to hook her up with a great agent? Her friend would be thrilled. Her friend doesn't know anyone in Maui, or maybe she does, but she might not know a great agent. Nancy would bring great value to her friend by referring them to an agent. So the referral network in Command is a great tool for that. We also have this thing in Command called opportunities. And this is where you keep track of real clients and real client leads. So if you look at the top here, there's a listing section and a buyer section. You can cultivate, you can have clients in a cultivate section and an appointment section, and you can organize this any way you want. This is just the default organization. Another cool thing about Command is, I don't know why it's taking so long to load, I'm sorry, is there's a section here on campaigns. This is for advertising. Did you guys know you can advertise through your database to Facebook at a discount over what you would pay if you put ads on Facebook yourself? That's campaigns. You can produce reports. We also have a really, really cool design library in Command where you can create flyers, where you can create buyer guides, listing guides from templates, newsletters. Now, talk about reaching your sphere in a nice, easy way. What if every month or every 3 months you sent your sphere a newsletter and all you needed to do was customize it with your name and picture from here? And then you send it out to them via email once every 3 months. Maybe you print it up and send direct mail too. All of that is here. So I bring this to your attention because Command is an incredibly powerful tool, and I want you guys to start thinking about using it to help you to keep track of all these people you're going to be speaking with. We are not going to be teaching you Command here, but great news. There are Command classes, webinars, YouTube videos, all available to you that you can access very easily to start using Command. All right. I also want to talk to you about your database. So we've talked about why it's important to put your sphere of influence. The first people you should be putting into Command, the first names should be the people from your phone, people you know and love and care about, or colleagues that you are friends with and everything like we talked about before. They're the first people you should be putting into your Command database. Is anybody here in the San Francisco office? Raise your hand. Yeah. So if you're working with Kobe requires you to get your names and contact information in Command before you can meet with him on a one-on-one. So Kobe's amazing. You want to meet with him on a one-on-one. So get your data into Command, get your names into Command, all your people into Command. First step. That way you can start setting them up on smart plans. You can know when to follow up with them. You can look and see what's going on with them. It's all Kobe Wilson is the productivity coach in the San Francisco Market Center. If you're not in San Francisco, you won't have met him yet, probably. We have 4 or 5 productivity coaches that you are with. So if you are in San Francisco and you haven't met Kobe yet, I promise you, you will. Emma is, I think, the team leader there. She's not the productivity coach. So Nancy, it looks like Tan doesn't know Kobe, so maybe you could chat with her or them privately and connect them. All right, so anyway, if you don't have a database, look, let me put it another way. Do not for a second think you can use your phone or a worksheet, a spreadsheet, or a piece of paper to keep track of all these names. You have this included in your relationship with Keller Williams is Command. Use it to keep track. It's way more powerful, way more flexible, and it will allow you to manage your business like a professional. I also want to point out, guys, you are professional real estate agents. You have a license. This is a career path. You are to treat it that way. If you were running a small business in any other sphere, you would make it your business to use the tools of the trade. You would make it your business to make sure your employees were spending the hours of the day doing what they're supposed to do. You are the CEO of your own small business. And as such, you are have to run your business like a business. Your productivity coach will help with that. I'm in Oakland, Alameda, Castro Valley. We have Kobe in San Francisco. We have Christina in Palo Alto and San Mateo. We have Murray in Santa Monica. And so these folks are going to help you learn how to run your business like a business. Okay. Another thing I want to point out that's going to be really important to you is I'm going to show you is the Ignite Toolkit. So let me just get back to our PowerPoint. Okay, so sorry, one sec, guys. I'm constantly juggling things here, so just bear with me. All right, so we looked at that. We looked at Command. We looked at database. So I've been talking about this Ignite Toolkit, but the main thing I've talked to you about is the script book. But you might remember I put into chat the toolkit. This is what it looks like in my view. You can look at it in a number of different ways when you download. You can look at it, you can look at this as a list like this or like this. But there's a lot of really great stuff in the toolkit beyond just the script book. Oh, shoot. There we go. Beyond the script book. And they include a buyer lead sheet, which you can digitize to make it more powerful for you. A 411, a planning your day checklist, an aid in how to look at how to do home previewing, a pre-listing questionnaire, a pre-listing packet, an open house tools. And the open house tools are really good. There is a countdown to doing an open house in the toolkit that tells you what you need to do the week before, 3 days before, 2 days before, 1 day before, the day of, and most importantly, the day after. If you're going to do open houses as a strategy, and you'll be learning about that in Ignite, you want to know that countdown book. You want to read that over. What isn't in the toolkit is the buyer guide for preparing for buyer presentations. You can find that in the Command design library. It's in the design library, and I'm not going to go try to find it right now, but it's in the Command. So if you can't find something, ask agent services, ask your mentor, ask your productivity coach. We'll all be able to help you find it. 411. So there's a couple of planning tools that Keller Williams is big on. One is called the 411 and one is called the 135. We're big on systems and models here. Personally, I don't care whether you use a 411, a 135, or whether you use a different tool. Just use a tool. Don't wing it. You guys are CEOs of your own business. You are not reeds in the wind in the water where the wind blows and the reed moves whatever direction the wind blows. No, you are intentional. You are like in a rowboat, and you're going to steer the rowboat where you want to go in that water. And that means using tools. So we have tools called a 411, and we have tools called a 135. And I am going to take the time right now. You're going to learn more about these in future sessions, but I'm going to introduce them to you right now. So just bear with me a sec as I bring this up. One moment, please. And you can do these again. You can print them up and do it old school manual, or you can do these. One second. No, that's not it. You can either use these tools digitally, or you can use these tools. There it is. So here is an example of a 411. This is this one view. Can everybody see this? Hold on.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, great. Okay, so this is one view, but a 4-1 basically is a goal setting worksheet. So you put in your yearly goals. So I know it's pretty small. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. So in this example, there's yearly goals. So in this example, the person wants to net $75,000. They want to close 5 transactions by the end of the year. They want to take Bold, which is a great program after you graduate Ignite. They want to, and this person wants to add 2 people to their downline for profit share. You could then go in and put in monthly goals to tie to these yearly goals, and then weekly goals for every month of the week. Some people recommend that every Sunday you should set aside an hour to update your 411. We have an amazing class on this document and how to use it every October, given by a master coach within the Keller Williams world. You will hear about it. You will see it. It's called Business Planning Clinic. I strongly, strongly recommend you go to the Business Planning Clinic to line yourself up for a successful 2023. Another tool besides the 411 is something we call the 135. And this is where you set some strategies and priorities around your goal. So it's one thing to say you want to sell 10 homes. How are you actually going to do it? So in this, there's 4 different areas: lead gen strategies, becoming a listing guru, developing my downline, and building a referral-based business. Those are just examples. You can do whatever you want. So sphere of influence, it has some examples. It has some question marks of how this example of how this person is going to do lead gen. Now, I am happy to share this with anybody who wants it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put my contact information in the chat, so that you guys can email me I'll put it in this email. Feel free to email me if you want a copy of that template for your own editing purposes. I'm happy to share it with you. You can do with it whatever you want. But even if you don't want to do that, and even if you aren't a super, analytical person, you're not into that, please write it down. Start an Evernote or just a worksheet in your phone or something, and start being intentional about what you want this to look like. And work with your productivity coach on this. That's what we're here for, to help you to get this developed, because, they've done studies. People who, they did this study, a very famous study of people who went to Harvard University, and what happened with them, the business school, after graduation. The folks that wrote down their goals did better than the folks who didn't have written goals. The folks who wrote down their goals and had an action plan did better than the first group. The folks that wrote down their goals, had an action plan, and had someone to hold them accountable besides themselves, did the best of all. It's tried and true, guys. It's not rocket science. Real estate is simple. It's just not easy. All right, let's go back to our, I want to talk about some other things that I want to work with you on this morning. And that is preparing for success. So we're going to spend some time on this because this is fundamental stuff. In my group, we review these success principles every week. So let's talk first about Ignite. I'm really glad you're here. Ignite is so much better, in my opinion, taken in person with interactivity than it is watching a recorded version. And, you know, I'm hoping one day we can get back to being in person, because that's even better for a learning modality than doing this on Zoom. So there are basically 9 classes that you're going to have over the next few weeks. We're starting with Fuel Your Career. This afternoon, you get to work with Christina. Christina Hood is the productivity coach in our Palo Alto and San Mateo offices. And Christina is going to talk about lead gen a lot more than we did this morning, a lot more. And then this afternoon, sorry, I think it's Christina this afternoon. Let's see. I am looking at the Keller Williams office overlay on my personal calendar. Yeah, Christina, this afternoon at 1 o'clock. Then on Thursday, you have Kobe. I mentioned him before. He's the productivity coach in San Francisco. He's going to be teaching you about powerful language and scripts and dialogues. Then Thursday afternoon, Murray Keller, who is the productivity coach in Santa Monica, is going to talk. I think it's Murray on Thursday. Yeah, he's going to talk to you about your database and why your database is your business. Without your database, you don't have a business. It's just as simple as that. Then we have other classes to follow next week. Setting goals, delivering your value proposition. Remember how we started today talking about your big why? We're going to dig into that a little bit more. How can you give a 30-second pitch? You're in an elevator going up to the 30th floor in a high-rise building. Or maybe you're at a party and someone says, oh, hi, what do you do? How are you? And I've not met you before. How do you tell people about yourself in 30 seconds to a minute such that they see that you bring incredible value? How do you do that in a buyer consultation? How do you do that in a listing presentation? How do you do that if you're knocking on someone's door or at an open house? The next class in Spark is how to find buyers and get them to hire you. How to find sellers and get them to hire you. And then we have a day in the life where an agent tells you about what they do each and every day. So that's Spark. After Spark, you're going to get some very specific things. How to do prospecting, how to do marketing, how to do open houses, how to go on a seller appointment, how to go on a buyer appointment consultation. There are 2 types of buyer consultations. One is where you show them a property first, and then you're at your car or their car, and you're trying to get their commitment to have you help them going forward. The other is where you meet with them and do a proper consultation with a needs analysis and an assessment and a discussion of what buyer agency is. Now, some of you may have limiting beliefs that you should not be asking your buyers to sign a contract to work with you. That is, and you may think, oh, they won't sign it. They'll go work with someone else. And I think it's, I don't want to do it. All the reasons. We strongly urge you to treat your relationships with your buyers as professionally as your relationships with your sellers. And in the buyer consultation class, we talk more about that. Make and receive offers, negotiate deals, financial basics, and then what happens after you get into contract until your buyer gets the keys or seller gets their money. That's this course. So you're going to learn everything, all the basics. You're going to be taught by leading agents from around the brokerage, all of the offices. And I think it's going to be awesome for you guys. But None of it is going to be anywhere near as effective if you aren't doing a daily 10-4. And this is what I referred to earlier. You want to start implementing into your business a regimen every day that you're working in real estate as a full-time agent. You want to have at least a couple of hours where you're working on the 10-4. What does that mean? What am I talking about? You're brand new. Your database may not even exist yet. Put 10 people into it each and every day. Even if you're just pulling them out of your phone, even if you don't have all the information about them, put them in anyway. Write a little note. This is someone I went to high school with. This is somebody that I worked with at XYZ Corporation. This is my cousin's brother's uncle's wife, whatever. Put them in your database, at least 10 a day. Now, by the way, you can very easily import from your phone into Command and into most any database. So maybe for you, it's not putting them in because you're going to get that done for you as part of your transition. Maybe what it is going through, putting in a note, making sure the contact information is up to date and complete. Maybe that's what it means for you. But do 10 a day. Prospecting. Speak to 10 of those people that you've put in your database or that are in your database every day. Now, when we say speak, I will count a text message that's returned, an email that's returned, running into them at the grocery store or at a family event. That all counts too. But 10 a day, 50 a week. Note cards. Note cards are the big secret weapon in real estate. I said there's no secret to being a successful real estate, but there are a few secret weapons. And one of them is writing thank you notes or note cards. Forget about thank you. Writing note cards, gratitude cards, whatever you want to call them. Ideally handwritten. You can also buy services online, by the way, where it looks like it's handwritten, but it's sent from somewhere else on your behalf with customized fonts and customized pictures and images on it. You can do that too. This is far superior to sending an email, and you want to do 10 of those. I say 10 of those a week, by the way. You don't have to do 10 a day. Do 10 of those a week. Now, what are you saying in this? Dear Mr. Lender Guy, thank you so much for speaking with me the other day about this program you're offering for first-time buyers. Dear Mr. Title Guy, Title Rep Guy, thank you for showing me how to set up a farm and reach out to people in this area. I really appreciate your help. Dear mentor, I really appreciate the last few weeks. You know I've asked you for a lot of help. I really appreciate your time. Dear cousin Phil, I know you're super busy with your new career as a stock market trader. Thanks for taking 10 minutes to let me tell you about my new career on the phone. So there's lots and lots of ways you could do these note cards. They don't need to be sophisticated. Just do them. The way old-fashioned snail mail works these days, people throw out 95% of it. It's mostly junk. And at this time of year, political advertising. And it's junk. And we throw it away. But we're always looking for that kernel of something different in our mail. We go to the mailbox and, oh, wow, there's a personal letter. What that's about. People will open them, I promise you. They will be happy that you thought of them. And it will leave a good impression. This is all part of becoming top of mind, right? And then finally, I talked about this before. You want to preview 10 homes a week, at least. Now, some of you might be saying, I can't do that. I don't have my MLS set up. Nonsense. Go to open houses on Sundays and Saturdays. Just find it, go to your neighborhood, look at the signs, go to open houses. Some of you might be saying, well, I don't have a client to go look at these. That doesn't matter. Agents are happy for you to preview their listings if they're vacant. And you do need to make an appointment if they're not vacant, and they're usually still happy. Agents want other agents to look at their houses. Go on broker tour. Then you don't need to go make appointments or have to use your super key at all. Just go on broker tour or caravan, depending on what it's like in your area. But go. C10 houses. Start, it's not just a matter of going to look at them. Use that tool. Use this tool in the toolkit. Where is it here? Here is a tool you can use to survey rooms, to keep notes. And you don't have to do this, but this could be really helpful to sort of distinguish and remember the different properties. I preview homes, job, this is actually the one I wanted to bring up. What about this? This is in your toolkit. This could be really helpful, especially if you're trying to do a CMA, a comparative market analysis. Now, this is all old-fashioned, something you have to print out and use. And, you know, maybe you want to create a digital version using a Google form or something. But my point is, start thinking about what you're going to be looking for. Let's suppose you're going to go look at open houses. How would you evaluate an open house you're going to go see? You do not need your mentor at open houses to go with you. You do not need your mentor for any of these things I've talked about at all. But let's suppose you're going to an open house. Be observant. Why is the agent hosting? Why is the agent doing what the agent is doing? How are they greeting people at the open house? How have they staged it for the open house? Do they have food? Do they have water? Do they have any customized marketing material for the open house? And when you take the open house class, you'll learn about all kinds of cool customized material you can have for the open house. What's their style? Would you be like that if you hosted an open house that way? Look at staging. Do you like the staging? Do you think it adds to the attractiveness of the property? Or do you think it takes away? Do you think that you would do things differently in the way the home was prepared for sale? All kinds of things you should be thinking about. You know, ideally, go with a friend. Go with another agent in productivity coaching or in mentorship or in your office. Go with someone else and share your ideas with someone else. They may have good thoughts that you didn't think of. That's great, Danielle. She wrote, I picked the agent's brain on various techniques they use for open houses. Guys, ask lots of questions. This is Keller Williams. Agents are surprised if you're not asking them lots of questions. Ask your mentor questions. Ask other agents in the class questions. Ask your productivity coach questions. Ask other agents you meet questions. Okay, so as I said before, in order for you to maximize Ignite, it's not just going to these 2-hour classes 4 times a week. The goal of it is to do the 10-4 as well each and every day. So you should be thinking about your day and time blocking it to allow time both to take these classes and to do these activities. All right. We're going to stop. We're going to talk now, and this is a recurring thing in Ignite. I'd like you guys to think about this class today, where we've been at, and what has made you think about things differently. How has your thinking changed? For example, what is ideas I've shared or mindsets that I've shared that are new to you? How do you feel differently? Does anyone feel differently? Like, oh, that's a great weight off my shoulders, or I am more encouraged, or I'm more discouraged, hopefully more encouraged. What are you going to do differently? What tools, models, or systems are you definitely going to use? And how are they going to impact you as the CEO of your own business? How are they going to make you more accountable? So with that in mind, I'm going to give you guys, I don't know, 3 minutes. I'm going to leave this up on the screen. This is also in your participant guide somewhere in your participant guide. I don't have a page number for you. I'm going to give you like 3 minutes till 10:28. And then we're going to come back, and I'm expecting that you're going to share with me your answers to these questions. So I'm going to start the timer now, and we'll come back in 3 minutes. Okay, okay. So who wants to share first?
I can go next.
All right, go ahead, Nancy.
I wrote to not be fearful of your sphere, because like you said, most people will be glad to hear from you. I like the Ford method to use for your sphere, the family, occupation, recreation, and dreams to talk as talking points with them.
Good.
I like what you said that we are our own business owners, our CEO, so we should take accountable and work it like our own business. I like implementing the 10-4 and working on your SOI and using the 10-4 method to input notes and keep track of the people you've connected with recently.
Wow, that's a lot. That's great. All right. All right. Daniel, I don't know if you're able to talk with us, but tell us what you wrote in chat. Talk to us about that.
Oh, about the commercial lease?
No, you talked about ad review. Tell people about that.
Oh, I don't even know how I signed up for it, but I've been getting a lot of emails that are Keller Williams related with a bunch of different tools. So I enrolled in that. And so that email comes out. Let me get back to the inbox. The ad review email comes out, I believe, weekly. And looks like it comes out on, oh, that's a revision. Yeah, it comes out around the week, a Friday. It comes out on like a Friday. And so when you open up the link, let me turn my camera on. Hold on.
It's okay. It's okay, Daniel. I misunderstood your message. So ad review is a Bay Area based service. It's in the Bay Area, primarily in the East Bay, to show new listings coming on the market and when broker tours are and when open houses are across all brokerages. So I think that's what I know ad review to be. And that's certainly a tool. All of you will have regional and local tools inside and outside the brokerage, and knowing what they are and how they're going to help you is really important. What else did other people get from today's discussion?
To stay out of your head and just go for it.
Yeah, to stay out of your head and just go for it. Now, I want to just point out, it's really hard to do this. I've been doing real estate for more than 18 years, and every agent I know struggles with this. The point is when you hear the voice in your head telling you you can't do it, or someone's going to be offended, or I'm perfect, I don't need any advice from anybody, I already know how to do this because of my experience in XYZ, whatever these voices are, you should acknowledge them, be gentle with yourself and say, great, thank you, voice. I appreciate your insight, and do the work anyway. I lost traction at the beginning of my career because I didn't do everything that I was being taught. I could have maybe sold more homes in my first year had I been more disciplined about the 10-4 aspect of this. And I've had a very successful career. So you may not get this right away, but mindset can play real tricks on you. It can make you arrogant or it can make you passive. Either way, it can take you off the true path. Just do it. Thank you. This is like Nike. Just do it, right? All right, somebody else? Rachel, you've got your hand raised. Go ahead and unmute and share with us something.
So it's Rochelle.
I'm sorry, Rochelle. I'm sorry.
It's fine. So for me, I am a part-time agent because I'm a full-time worker, of course, to support the family and everything. So from this class, it was very, very enlightening because right now I'm battling a 9-to-5 where I'm used to someone expecting me to do things, to do the work. So I already know what's already ahead and what's expected, and then have to switch over to do the real estate, trying to remind myself it's my own business. I have to do the work and actually make that effort instead of coming into work and having that work already there for me, ready to be finished. So in this class, it just helped me kind of snap out of it and remind myself how hungry I am to get out of a 9-to-5 and start my own business and how hard it is, but it's worth it at the end because I did the work and I actually made that effort to do things. And,
Yes.
And the 10-4, I would, the everyday, I would do that because it kind of gives me that foundation to every day
Yeah.
do something. And
See,
that helps
yeah.
me kind of snap out and change my hat from a 9 to 5, because I'm like, okay, that's simple, because going into it was really overwhelming. I mean, with all the
Yeah.
information, with everything, all the classes needed and goal setting and everything, trying to switch from a full-time job to doing this, wanting to do this in the future, that's what I took from it. And it's still a struggle, but it gives me more hope and motivation to really go forward and be more organized. Like you said, be more disciplined on what I really need and for the future. So, yep.
Thank you, Rochelle, for sharing that. And I want to point out that the top agents in the business are very disciplined about their daily success habits. It might look a little different from agent to agent, how they do their prospecting and lead gen, but it is fundamental. And if that comes before everything else. Some philosophies, you do it 2 hours in the morning before you get to do anything else. And then you can do whatever you want in the afternoon and evenings. It's sometimes hard to be that disciplined with classes and courses that have different times on them and everything. But you guys are at the beginning, you're at the master of your own fate, and you absolutely can do this. It's just a matter of being really disciplined. And Rochelle, I really like that you want to try to establish this discipline even while you're managing a full-time job. And guys, I know some of you have a lot of other things going on in your lives. Some of you have children, small children. Some of you have family situations. Maybe you're caring for others in your family. Whatever it is, you're balancing things. And this is maybe the first time you've ever completely been your own boss in any endeavor where you didn't have to show up at a certain time for a certain time. And maybe you chose real estate because of the time flexibility. All that is great. And if you don't create daily success habits, you will never be able to do this transition to be able to do real estate full-time, or at least it'll be much, much harder for you to do the transition. So, or to be successful if you're already starting as full-time. So we want to give you the tools so you can be successful, and having a daily set aside time for these things is super important. Kimberly, did you want to add anything about what you've experienced today?
Yes, my experience today, thank you so much, Stephen. This was very motivating. I missed your classes so much. I did this quite some time ago, and I was supercharged when I did it when I first started KW, and I haven't did this in quite some time. And then I forgot what I was doing and started developing my own stuff, trying to do this and that. And then coming back to your class this morning was so refreshing. And I just want to say to everybody, it really works. I'm glad I did this. I'm supercharged. I'm ready to start doing everything, like doing my 10-4s and utilizing command more, because I get lit up around command, never want to do it. But I now made myself, as we were talking, set a goal to work in the command and get over my fears about command. Go back and start visiting more properties. Because of the pandemic, we couldn't do as much, and I only did it when I had buyers or someone I was working with to show property. And so that just made me realize, no, I need to get back in there and start going on brokers tours, and if they even have them still. But I got so much this morning, just like supercharged me. I'm
Awesome.
Like, thank you. Like, oh my God. So I'm excited. I'm very excited.
That's great. That's great, Kimberly. I'm really happy to hear that. I mean, that's the whole point. This is the launch of the program. We want you all to be excited. We don't want you to be scared. Your mentor is there to help you. Your productivity coach is there to help you. And Kimberly, you have a productivity coach and mentor, and she can help you to stay on track with your enthusiasm. I would encourage you to share this with her, what you shared with us.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. did anybody else want to share how they're feeling about today? It's quite all right to say that you're scared. It's quite all right to share with me things that are blocking you. Maybe we can overcome them together or talk it through, because I promise you that if you have things that are blocking you or scaring you or making you hesitant, you're not the only one. I absolutely promise you. So Angela, unmute and share with us what you're thinking.
Hi, thank you. So when you were speaking, that really resonated to me was the blockage for a person that is shy and that isn't extroverted, more introverted, which is myself. The problem that I'm seeing and what I'm fighting against is I'm afraid to start the conversation, but I'm really good once the conversation gets started.
Ah,
So I'm
very
having,
normal.
yeah, I'm having that issue, and it's causing me to not say anything when I want to talk about it. And I don't know kind of how to overcome that part.
So Angela, what office are you in?
Santa Monica.
Okay, so Murray is your productivity coach. I would absolutely share this with him. I would absolutely start practicing scripts. Find a script practice partner and practice with them. Just sort of practice initiating dialogue. It's really good that you already know what you want to say once you get going. So share some scenarios around with your script practice partner of, the various relationships you might be having out there in the community. So maybe your script practice partner could pretend to be someone at an open house who walks in the door. Or maybe they could pretend to be your cousin from Milwaukee that you haven't talked to for 5 years. Or maybe they could pretend to be someone whose door you're knocking on. And just practice how you get into that with them and overcome in practice. Then you'll be able to overcome easier when it's real. So that'd be my advice.
Thank you.
Rachel, Rochelle, did you have something else to add? Because your hand is still up.
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. I just want to
No, I
check.
don't.
Ren, can you unmute and share?
Yes. Hi, Stephen. I'm really
Hello.
glad. I'm really glad I went to this Ignite class. This is not my first Ignite. I'm with KW Fremont, and I did one before the
Welcome.
pandemic. Yes. There was no command then. There was no pandemic, so I thought this is a very timely thing for me to come here and revisit. I did some few transactions in the past, and I'm willing to work harder to move my business forward. What I liked about what we talked about today is you said real estate is simple, may not be easy, but it's simple. So what I found meaningful today was the roadmap and concept of goals, consistency, and accountability. So I guess it is really that simple. I just have to go back to that goals and make sure it is adjusted to the time that we have remaining for the year. And I picked out my accountability partner. I messaged her
Oh,
directly.
great.
She's also here
Great.
in this Ignite class. So I guess that's a homework for me today to rewrite my 411135 goal strategies and make sure that I'm consistent with the daily routine, the 10-4 stuff.
Wow, Ren, that's great. I'm so delighted to hear you say that and that you've got an accountability partner already lined up. And I encourage you to continue attending the other Ignite classes because I think we have amazing instructors who will give you great insights. And, before we conclude, and I've got a few more slides I want to go over with you guys, I do want to point out that some of you may be on this call and having hesitation and not feeling that you're maybe getting out of it what others are sharing. That's okay. Please talk to your productivity coach or your mentor about this so that they can help you to find your motivation or to answer your questions and concerns and to give you support. That's what we're here for. We want you all to succeed. And we know that people come into this business and it feels like a fire hose. And we know that sometimes it's really intimidating. We will work with you at your pace to help you develop your plan. so that you can succeed and achieve your goals. Everyone in this call has different goals. Some of you maybe want to sell 12 homes in your first year. Some of you would be thrilled to sell 3 or 4. That's all okay. But we do want to help get you on the path to succeed. All right. Any last comments before we go back into the, I cover a few more things? No? All right, then. Let us cover a few more things before we end. So we did this. Okay, just a reminder, you're not just coming to Ignite classes. At least 5 days of the week, you're going to be focused on adding 10 people into your database, or working with, if you've just imported your contacts, getting them set up properly there. You're going to be having 10, we want you to have 10 conversations a day about real estate. That's a two-way conversation. That's where you, it's not just leaving a voicemail message. It's not just sending a text. It's having a conversation, two-way. Handwritten notes, we're big fans. We talked about that. And looking at 10 houses a week. Those are the basics of it. It's really important that you start practicing scripts as part of this fundamental success. Because even if the scripts are in terms and words that you would never say yourself, until you learn the scripts, it's really hard to internalize them and customize them. You have to learn them first. Scripts are so powerful. Imagine it this way. If you are studying medicine and you want to be a doctor, the classes you're going to have to take is anatomy, right? So if you don't take anatomy, you wouldn't feel comfortable working with patients. Maybe another example, I like to think of scripts as like a critical tool in your toolbox. If you were a plumber and someone called you because they had a backed up toilet, would you ever go to the property without your snake and your plunger and other tools of the trade? Scripts are the same thing. Don't wing it. Practice the scripts from the scripts book, so you can have purposeful conversations that help you to get appointments. So the scripts will allow you to lead gen. It's a lead gen tool, obviously. It will help you to uncover people's motivations by asking the right questions. Learn what's really going on with them that maybe they didn't verbalize initially. Identify their objections, things that they have in their mind that are holding them back from making decisions that maybe are legitimate and maybe are just a lack of good information. They'll help you to close deals. They will allow you to speak in terms that customers understand, and they will build your confidence. It's a lot easier for me now to talk about any real estate subject than I did in my first, before I learned scripts when I was brand new. So learning scripts is really important for confidence. The other thing that they're really important for is they help you to communicate your value proposition and show the other person that you are able to give them value in your conversation with them. You're able to bring value to them. So I do encourage you to get a script practice partner and practice with them. I do want to mention before we conclude, if you're going to be doing calling, any kind of cold calling, you must be in compliance with the Do Not Call Registry. In our office, there's a link that is provided to the agents so they can check and see if a name is on there that they shouldn't be phoning, or a phone number is on there that they shouldn't be calling. Check with agent services if you're going to be calling people you don't know. It's very, very important. And I think, let me just see what else I have here. I think that's it. I think we're done a little bit early, actually. Does anyone have any last questions? I think what I'm going to do, because we got about 10 minutes still, I'm going to hang on here. If any of you want to stay on and talk with me one-on-one, I'm going to turn off the recording, and I'll hang out for a little bit till 11. I'm also available. Let me put my contact information in the chat again, just in case somebody didn't get it. You can always reach out to me anytime, email, text. You can leave me messages, but email or text is you can leave me voicemail, but the best thing to do is always to email or text me. I'm always happy to help, point you in the right direction, and answer any questions you have. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your time this morning. I know you make choices about how to spend your time. I'm really glad you made this a priority, and I hope it was good, valuable for those of you who didn't share that. I hope that it was a valuable class.
Thank you. It was indeed very valuable. Learned a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Stephen.